Hello folks, Typhoon Carter here, and I bring to you another DPP Revival Invitational set. This is a round 2 losers bracket showdown between elodin and Crying. So both these players fighting for their tournament lives pretty early on. elodin, you know him, he's played all kinds of old gen tiers, just like a very good all-round player. He did win DPP Cup this year, so elodin has that going for him, and he's somebody who regularly contends in classic playoffs. I believe he is playing in this year's classic playoffs, and it's probably like his third or fourth trip towards his 10-year history, so you know he's been there, done that. Whereas for Crying is a relatively newer player compared to elodin, who's been around forever, but Crying is a real enigma on this site. Somebody who doesn't say a lot, but his letter brings are sometimes just crazy. Like, Crying once brought a Diddle with a Thirium Z in a Smogan Tour playoff game, and has brought things that are just nonsensical, like, Assault Vest Alomomola with Play Rough that just so happened to have a fantastic matchup into their opponent. But I had Crying as a teammate in DPPPL. They're a fantastic pilot. They went like 10-0 playing both Ubers and OU. They split time between those two tiers. And you know, I like mostly just fed stuff to Crying, and Crying did a fantastic job piloting. So, you know, fantastic player. I'm very curious to see how this matchup plays out. Latias lead, Jirachee lead. Jirachee's gonna get Stealth Rocks up, and Latias is gonna trick into a Flame Orb. Okay. Psychics here, Depulses. So, Flame Orb, Trick Latias, not a bad set. I like that a little bit, but Crying's gonna bring in the Tyranitar, and that Latias is gonna go down early. Downfan should be able to get to spin off, so elodin maybe bringing it balance, and there's a Shaman. You don't see that often. But that was into Heatran, into Jirachee, so that's a fantastic double from Crying. U-turns here into Clefable, so it's clear elodin's bringing a bulky offense of some kind, and you know, after 7 turns, 4 Pokemon revealed, we have a bit of a clear projection of what's going on. Shaman is a bit of an old school pick here from Crying, so it's not that unconventional, but Shaman is not something that you see super often in DPP nowadays. Really what Shaman's doing here is like, back in the day when it was more popular, before it fell out of favor, it would have been a Leech Seeder, and then it actually has like some decent coverage options, although you have to choose between Hidden Power Ice and Hidden Power Fire, but it does have Earth Power, and it could do some annoying things like Grass Whistle. I think Oipons actually brought that against me in DPP Cup, so that's one thing Shaman can do. It can also like do Leech Seed stuff, but Clefable being a... But this is not the matchup to have that pop off, especially with Clefable just kind of coming in and being an annoyance. Whereas for elodin's team, it's just like a run-of-the-mill, like, you know, balance or like bulky offense, or like just a fat team with Flame Orb Latias, which is actually, like I said, like a nice deviation from the usual defensive Lati set. Especially because the Jirachee being crippled is really nice, and it's a CM Clefable, so this might be like Flame Grass Knot. There's a couple combinations Clefable can run here. T-Bolt into Bronzong, so it's probably Bolt Beam, but the Zong can obviously Boom, does exactly that, and the Clefable's gonna go down. Downfen's gonna be sent out again. Jirachee, oh okay, nice Protect there. Scouts out the Grass Knot. Okay, so nice play from elodin there. Also recovers health on the Donphan too, which is nice. So Akaberry, yeah, so I think the Akaberry probably was the tell sign for elodin that maybe something's up with this Jirachee. Because Akaberry, you normally see that on something like Super Rachi. You would never see it on physical Rachi ever. Heatran's naturally got threatened to Celebi, and Celebi's gonna go down. And Crying is in a fantastic spot right now, especially after that explosion with the Bronzong and the Clefable earlier. Hello to bring out a Porygon 2, alright, brother. Oh, okay, so nice use of Trace there, being able to soft check the Heatran. And it gets a T-Wave off on the Shaman, so it will friend an Ice Beam at the very least, but Tyranitar will come in here, and it's gonna threaten a Superpower, but no, it just gets frozen. Yeah, that Tyranitar's frozen here. As for last, yeah, Crying's gotta have something that's a Spike Immune, or like a second Spike Immune that isn't Bronzong. So something like a Rotom could totally be plausible, I could see that, but Donphan's gonna get the Rapid Spin off, gotta be threatened by the Shaman now, and Jirachee will wall this, but has to be careful of Earth Power. And it's a Life Orb Shaman too. Iron Head's here into the Heatran, that's not gonna be very effective. And gotta Explode here, dealing sizable damage to the P2, so nice play by Crying to recognize that. And the Gyarados actually looks extremely threatening now. Does it show lefties? No, this might be Lumberry Gyra. But the Tyranitar's gonna get Iron Headed, gotta resend the Gyarados in to reset that drop. And it is a Scarf Jirachee from the looks of it. So if there's a Rachi, there's a way. But Crying's gonna be able to get the DD off. This Gyarados should be quite annoying. Knocks off there. It's a Lychee Berry, so this might have been Natural Gift Gyarados, but we won't know for sure. And hangs on just barely. I would start protecting here. Yeah, so last move's obviously EQ. Gets a double protect here. He's gonna need a bajillion protects to get out of this. Not gonna get a third one in a row, but the Donphan will go down. And the Jirachee almost certainly will die now. So, Crying's gonna survive that game 1. And interesting teams from both players. Elodin bringing out the Porygon 2. Never thought I'd see a P2 show up, but here we are. Whereas for Crying, you know, yeah, like, you know, you got some standard pokes, but some of them with like maybe niche techs like the Lychee Berry Gyarados that was knocked off. It's not showing there, but that's actually a really nice touch, because Lychee Berry, if you're using Natural Gift, that means Natural Gift is a grass type move, so that's actually a really nice way to lure in something like a Quagsire or a Gastrodon, for example. Or even get the jump on, like, you know, Swampert. That's like a really good target too, because some Swamperts will run Hidden Power Electric to get around Gyarados. So yeah, overall, pretty cool teams from both players, but let's go into game 2. Here we have game 2. Starmie lead, Moltres lead. I gotta swap out the Jirachee here, eats a Hydro Pump. So, first turn, Crying bring out a Moltres, so there's almost certainly a spinner in the back. I know Excal had worked on a build with Moltres that's like a Moltres stall, so that's not a bad idea. I actually like that. Whereas Elodin, you know, the Hydro Pump doing sizable damage to Jirachee, that's probably a Spec Star. And that Jirachee going to protect here, trying to hold off the Starmie. Avoids a crit, fortunately, so will waste a lot of PP, wasted free PPs on that Hydro Pump, so not nearly as spammable anymore, but Elodin gotta take advantage of that Protect, get rocks up here. Fire Punches trap Fish for a burn, does not get it. Body Slams there, so Crying gets the parrot that she's looking for. So Crying staying in here probably just to try and like avoid eating a random T-Wave or something like that. Okay, so there is a spinner. We see a Tentacruel. This Tentacruel probably has knock. Yeah, T-Spikes is also a given there. So nothing too crazy so far, but Tyranitar should remove this Rotom if it's not lefties. But instead Crying's gonna opt to get Rocks up. I don't know about that, but it's not the worst move in the world. You wouldn't expect on the Tar, but it would make sense because the only other rocker is Jirachee, and Rotom's gonna be sent out here. So we got a little trickery going on. The Jirachee's like Choice Scarf locked, and it's also parried. Fire Punches there, gets the burn fortunately, so that Rotom looked really annoying for elodin, but catches a break. And Flygon's gonna be sent out here, so nice double from elodin. So he's bringing a Flygon oriented balance. And then Donphan, okay, so it's a double spinner. Ice Shard's there. It'd be a good time to bring in Tyranitar, I think, but no. Okay, so Crying okay with that. Probably got a Pursuit with the, or not. Okay, so maybe this Tyranitar does not have Pursuit. It's Wish up here. Looking at this, so Crying's full team revealed. This is a, geez, I know I've seen a version of this, but yeah, I think this is like based off of a variation of the Moltres like semi-stall that like Xcal made in SPL this year. Or rather had we Free Kings use. So this is a pretty cool take on Molt stall. Like you have the double spinner. A double spinner is not a new concept. We saw this on ZF's Obama Snow plus Tyranitar team back in JDI 1. Whereas for elodin's team, a little bit more bog standard. The second last here, I would not be surprised if there was a Pursuit or even like something like a Lottie. But let's keep going. Buy slams here. And Crying's Jirachee's going to be healed back up to full. Okay, yeah, gets a couple more Iron Head flinches here. Yeah, this is the classic Jirachee experience, and that Jirachee is almost certainly gonna go down. But it's gonna be threatened out by the Flygon now. And protects here. And EQ doesn't quite kill. So that might have been, is that a CB Flygon? Oh wait, no, but this could also just be like a especially defensive Jirachee. But Moltres is going to be swapped in here. Going to use pressure to its advantage. And probably a free roost. Okay, yeah, so last is in fact Latias. And elodin can also use the Latias to Healing Wish. Should he desire to do that. So just keep that in mind, trying to trick here. Tricks the Choice Scarf onto a Moltres, and Moltres is going to die to sand damage, so that's a smart play from Crying. But this Tyranitar is in now. And Lucario, okay. Oh, actually no, this Tyranitar is fodder anyways. Yeah, didn't want to so elodin didn't want to risk getting Fire Blast there, so that's why he did that, but the Rotom looks like a fantastic piece right now for elodin's team. Oh, head smash there. Probably trying to catch a choke. And Crying's just got forfeit. Head smash on Donphan, not a new, not unheard of. It's a nice way to hit Zapdos because Zapdos is kind of annoying for Donphan sometimes. So I get why head smash was used there, but yeah, this is a bit of an interesting take on Molt semi-star stall, if you want to call it that. Whereas elodin, you know, like he just, like the Rotom got some decent value. Flygon also got pretty good value too. And really it just came down to positioning at the end of the day. As I thought elodin just had more opportunities to put himself in a more advantageous position. Won the positioning battle, and that was that. So let's go into game 3. So the series tied up at 1-1. Whoever loses this is going to be sent home. So Hippowdon lead, Gira lead. Hippo indicating stall, and Crying bringing out her own Hippo. And Gyarados on Elodin's and got DD up here. Got DD again. Waterfall's here, interesting. But yeah, that's certainly... there's probably 40 in the back here. Roars out the Tyranitar. Tyranitar doesn't want to stay in, but... yeah, so this is Rest Talk Gira from Crying. Whereas for Elodin, this is probably just like more general all-purpose offense with like a Tyranitar as the pursuiter, so maybe there's like a spinner in the back, who knows. Could be like double water or like water spam as well. Metagross is going to be sent out here. Fori is going to be the follow-up here, going to be able to get the spin off. Gets Toxic Spikes up into Rotom. Yeah, this is a variation of a Gira Fori stall that is popular, so it's like a known 6. And Latias is going to be swapped out here. And Tyranitar is going to be sent out here. This is probably a Scarftar. That should be able to get the Pursuit Trap off. Or Crunch, yeah, that works too. So Tyranitar is going to be sent out here. Fori is going to be the response. And, oh, it has to be careful of Fire Punch, so it should go Hippo now. Oh, okay. Just gotta let the Fori go, interesting. That was a bit of a weird play from Crying. So I'm not sure... because I feel like the Fori could have at least like gotten rocks off, because the Fori could have at least like spun rocks off. It would have kept the Gyarados healthy. Maybe Crying just didn't know that the Tyranitar had Fire Punch, like, because some DD Tars do run Ice Punch, or like they'll run a combination of like Aqua Tail plus Fire Punch, but still, I think that was a pretty strange play from Crying to make. Like, I don't think Crying needed to let that Fori go. But, like, Double Sand, yeah, this is like not unheard of, like I said. Like, Waterfall, like, this is defensive Gira, and then you got, like, the Rotom as a spin blocker. Probably, like, Rest Talk Rotom, too. And then you got the Scarftar, because like Latias would be a really bad matchup for this team otherwise. What do you know, there is the Aqua Tail. Hippo's got EQ into Suicune. And it's a Lumberry Suicune. But that means Sand's gonna wear it down. And the last is Blissey here, so... this might be like a older version of Gira Fori. Because modern Gira Fori stalls usually run Latias, like they'll run CM Latias as a win con. Scarftar is also a bit of an old school pick, like a back Scarftar, especially, like Double Sand. Again, it's a bit of a deviation from the usual, and oh, there's a Heracross shown. And the Rotom is going to go to sleep, but that Heracross being guts boosted could be a real problem for Crying. Gets pursued there, but luckily this Rotom is very bulky. It's probably a Scarf Hera. And the Gyarados should be able to rest here. Or roar, if Crying opts to make that play. Rest is here. Has to be careful of the HP Electric from Suicune, but Meta is going to be doubled in on Blissey. Nice play by Elodin there. Put himself in an advantageous position. Meteor Mashes and Aromatherapy. Oh, okay, so that's actually pretty cool synergy there. Bring in the Aroma Bliss, because that means that the Gyarados can actually wake up. The Rotom can wake up. They're not sitting ducks anymore. They can just be really annoying. And T-Bolt there, that's going to take out the Heracross. And Suicune gonna be swapped out here. Interesting. Oh, okay, so Crying's gonna sacrifice the Hippo, get the Pursuit Trap off with the Scarf Tar. Okay, yeah, I see what she's trying to do here. And the Metagross should be taken care of by the Rotom, but Mash raises can change some things. Okay. Yeah, Waterfall's here unless the meta shows T-Punch, which it does. It's just gonna come down to Metagross versus the Rotom. Is the Rotom faster? Yes, the Rotom is faster. And elodin has to try and get some Mash raises and hope that the Rotom gets some bad Sleep Talk rows. That's what it's gonna come down to. Gets a Shadow Ball. That's good. One more Shadow Ball might do it. Yeah, I gotta need the Rotom to draw Rest. And instead going to T-Bolt, and Crying's going to eliminate elodin. So the DPP Cup winner going out shockingly early in this tournament. And Crying's gonna take this series 2-1. So Crying's Game Free team is again like proven archetype with kind of like some own twists in there. Like you got the Blissey, which is actually a very old school pick, but in recent times I think Blissey has seen a little more usage here and there. Like maybe not like, you know, super crazy high usage, but some usage here and there because of stuff like Kingdra being like especially popular in more recent times. And like just the idea of like, you know, just special waters overwhelming teams. Like normally, but elodin just landed into a really rough matchup here, like the Gyarados, and then you had the Suicune and the Heracross, which just got completely owned by T-Spikes. So this is like a pretty cool T-Spikes take from Crying, so big fan of that. Heracross is also an interesting pick here, but unfortunately it just kind of didn't work out. And then you kind of see the issue with running into T-Spikes, like because some teams like are just really T-Spike vulnerable, and sometimes T-Spikes will just be completely useless. But this is one of those times where T-Spikes came in quite handy, and it was a huge difference maker, because even something like Suicune, which had Lumberry, meant that it did not have great longevity. So that's it though. If you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and consider donating to DPP Revival Invitational's prize pool. That being said though, I will see you guys next time.